The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
No! I'm going down to Alphabet Street. I'm gonna crown this girl that I meet. I'm gonna talk so.
Well, hello, y'all. Greetings. Welcome to the F Word. Coming to you live from Austin, Texas. I had to drink some Lone Star beer. I had to do it. Never had it before. Had a couple of them. Feeling quite relaxed, so that's good. It is Tuesday night. Again, time for the F Word. It is the 23rd of October, and sorry I was unable to join you guys last week. I actually had some technical difficulties. I was at a different hotel and just kept getting error messages. It wasn't letting me log in. But we're here. We got my darling friend Rene Parris. Welcome to the F Word again.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. Happy to be here again.
Yes, and so everybody know where you're sitting right now. Where are you at?
I am in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. It's a beautiful fall evening. It's 55 degrees tonight. The leaves are turning. It's a beautiful night.
I love that. So are there like in Raleigh, you know what it's like obviously in Minnesota. I don't know out here tonight. But what kind of fall, see there's an F word everybody, fall traditions do you have in your family? Because I mean there's, apple, cider, pumpkins, all that good stuff. What is it that you all do notice I said y'all because I'm down in the South. What do y'all do every year? Do you have any traditions?
We do. We go to the pumpkin patch every year. We've been doing it since our daughter, who's 19, since it's her first fall. And we just continue to go for the last 15 years. We've been going to the same pumpkin patch every year. And of course, now the kids are bigger, but we still go. We do the little train ride, the hay ride, get a pumpkin, take our pumpkins home. They become part of our decorations on our front porch.
Wow.
So that's a big tradition. And then also, because we are in Raleigh, we also get to do the state fair. It's always in October, and so that's a nice fall tradition. We get to go to the state fair. And those are the two things.
I thought state fairs were supposed to be summer.
No, not here. It's always in October, which is lovely.
Ours is the end of September, though, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, all the decorations are out, at the fair. It's all pumpkin and caramel apples, and it's fun. That's what we do.
So the kids look forward to it.
They do.
Do you guys get, like, trick-or-treaters that come to your house?
We do, yeah, and our church always has an event for the kids as well, so it's more focused on, it's called a fall festival. There's 2 F words for you, fall festival.
Ooh, look at that. You're catching on, lady.
I know, right?
I love it.
And so, yeah, they have a time for the kids to come together and just play games and get candy and sort of, smaller setting. But then also we do the trick-or-treating for the neighborhood, so that's always lots of fun as well.
Okay, here's an F word, favorite. What's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy is the candy corn.
Really?
Yeah.
That's one of those. Candy corn's one of those love it or hate it.
Exactly. I think part of the intrigue or the specialness of it is that you can only get it at that time of year. It's not always available. Yeah.
Okay.
So I look forward to it.
I only like my candy corn with dry roasted peanuts.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I can make myself sick eating it that way.
I never tried that.
Seriously, you're going to thank me. Kind of like, how they have salted caramel?
Right.
Yeah, trust me, Renee. It's like, it's crack. I swear, it's so stupidly good. It's salty peanuts with the candy corn.
Okay, I'm going to branch out and try it. So what's your favorite candy?
Butterfingers and Baby Ruths. I gotta go. They're tied. They're tied. If I get a Butterfinger, I gotta have Baby Ruth. And I'm talking the little bite-sized ones. Not the big ones. So I'm thinking, like what I would... Okay, I'm just gonna say, what I would steal from my kids' candy, when they go trick-or-treating.
Right.
It was always those that I would always be like, I thought I had some. I don't know what happened. Your dad probably ate them. It was always me. Always me. I'm just like, I'm sorry. And I don't like the big candy bars. It's just those little ones because I feel like, well, it's not that bad.
Right, it's just
maybe,
enough. Yeah.
Maybe the 12 of them I ate equals the full candy bar, but, I don't feel as bad when I eat it, I guess.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's so weird because when your kids get older, oh, man. Oh my gosh, I have one of my funniest ones. No, everybody knows I'm a football fan. Everybody knows I'm a Vikings fan. Everybody should know that I'm not a Packers fan. And so my kids grew up with Mom being very loud about watching the Vikings and also being very loud about not liking the Packers. So Austin, he'll be 24 on Saturday. He was, like 2, because his birthday's October 27th. So it was one of those Halloweens, one of those rare ones in Minnesota where it was warm out. We could walk around and not be in parkas and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I'm walking him around through the neighborhood. And there was a guy at one of the houses. He was actually just sitting outside on a chair, instead of being in the house because it was so nice out. And I'm letting him walk up by himself. And maybe he was 3. I'm going to take that because I think he was 3. And wouldn't go to this one guy because he was doing really good. He'd go up and say trick or treat and get his candy, and we'd walk away. This one guy, he wouldn't walk up to him. I'm like, honey, go on. It's okay. Go on. Said, all right, come on. I'll go. Because this guy had on a football jersey, and it was a Packers jersey. And my child says, instead of saying trick or treat, my child says, Mommy says Packers fans are losers.
Oh, no.
And I look at him like, trick or treat. Come on, let's go. I was like, all right. Sorry. It was just like, he's like, which house are you in? I go, the one with the big Vikings blow-up guy. He's like, figured. And it was just like, because I was that neighbor that always, every game, I had the big, gigantic blow-up guy that went out for every game. Everybody loved it, except for the Packers fans. But
exactly.
Yeah, the trick-or-treating, that was always fun. My brother has a party every year. He's got this, he lives in the house that we grew up in, and he made the garage like way bigger. I mean, so much so that he has a car lift in it and he can work on cars. But they call it the Garage Mahal. And so he has Garage Mahalloween parties.
How fun.
And it's a big deal. I mean, tons of people show up. I mean, he would have my sons working the door and selling the tickets. I mean, it's like people pay to come to this party. People bring different potlucks and treats, and there's drawings and sponsors, and he has a huge bonfire outside.
Yeah.
You can help me. The theme for this year is time. And I have no idea what that, I don't know what to put together because I'm at home. I'll have one day, really.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Interesting. interesting.
I know.
To think about that. But I love traditions, though. I mean, I think traditions are part of what grounds us to the people we do life with, right? It's the predictability that every year you can count on these things happening at different seasons and for different holidays. I think that's just you. It's like all years fade away, and those memories. So I think it's important to build those traditions in for your families. It helps moving forward to have those to kind of look back and ponder and remember.
Oh my gosh, right. It's all about family, about your futures. I mean, it's what our kids will want to do when they grow up with their kids.
Right.
Oh my gosh, speaking of kids, I fell in love with a little 5-year-old. There's another one. Her name was Aria. Shout out, Aria. You better be up listening. But Aria, Griff and I did it. Well, I didn't do this.
Exactly.
Right? But this little girl and this little boy were so cute. So we were there for the Vikings game, who won again, by the way. But this little girl made me just want granddaughters today. And just so cute, so cute. I just was going to be, oh my gosh, what is she? Going to be a vampire.
Aww.
She's just little, and her mom was going, I've been trying to get her to do like that, or, that kind of stuff. Nope, vampire. She's always got to be this little tomboy kind of girl. She's so cute. And then she's got this 9-year-old little big brother. Comes up, and he's just this little sweetheart too. He goes, yeah, I know. She's cute. She's cute. Yep. That's why she gets all the quarters. He gives her the quarters to go get the toys. Little quarter machines.
Right.
I go, looks like you got a lot too. He goes, no, she gets more. I go, oh. I said, and I looked at him. I go, I see how you're working it. I'm on to you. He's like, what? And I go, no, I got it. I think you guys get equal amounts. But you're just playing it, so somebody will give you more. He looked at me, he just grinned. It was so cute. Absolutely adorable. But I just, hearing about their little costumes. And so what's your favorite costume you ever had?
Oh my goodness. I can't even remember. What I do remember is, when I was a kid, they always came with those plastic face masks.
Yes.
Right? With the little rubber band that held it on, and you'd wear it for like 5 minutes, and then, oops, I lost it, because they're so uncomfortable. But I do remember having a Casper the Friendly Ghost. Remember that cartoon? It was on every Saturday morning. I was Casper one year.
That's cute. So my favorite one, I've got two of them. One was when I was like 22 years old. I was Wonder Woman. I had the figure for it. Sprayed my hair black. I won contests. I won money as that one, because that year, that was, I want to say, like probably 1995, whenever I was 22. But I went to these different bars with my friends, and that was the year everybody was dressed up either like Michael Jackson or and I'd show up these places and they'd say, get in the contest. Because everybody was like tired of seeing Michael Jackson and Prince all over the place.
Right.
So I won like $500 at one, and I mean, it was just so much fun.
Wow.
I'd be like, yeah, I live hard. Jets out. I just had a good time. But then my other one was just a few years ago. It was the most comfortable, most hysterical. I was Kitty Kardashian, crazy cat lady of the family.
Wow.
And I had cat eye glasses. I had my hair up in curlers. I had on like this a zebra print robe with zebra print pants, all fleece. I had kitty cat slippers. I had all these kitty cats into me. Stuffed animal cats.
Right.
Messy. One of them, and then I had a big pillow for my rear end.
That's
Because
funny.
I was a Kardashian.
Right.
So, and just, I had more fun, and I was more comfortable than anybody, and I was warm.
Yeah.
Slippers, and I'm in jammies, literally, is what I was. And it was, and I just kind of want to do that one again, but nobody would be.
Yeah.
But I just want to be comfortable. So, time is money.
Time is money. There you go.
Speaking of money, so I could go. I'll just show up with no costume.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the time. There you go. There's my costume. Oh my goodness.
Well, I do think it gives you, Halloween gives you an opportunity to dress up and be somebody that you would never be brave enough to do any other time of the year, too.
Right.
So I think that's part of the fun of it, is it's an excuse that to be outside of your element and everybody's okay with it. Like, whatever you dress up as
oh my
is
gosh,
okay.
you can get away with so much.
Exactly.
That's hysterical. No,
Yeah.
so so many people go out of their way. Big giant candy bars. I mean, you want to go like Minneapolis, if you go like say to the governor's mansion, you can do pretty well. But did you ever have those houses?
Oh, yes.
The full size candy bar.
Yes. And you count on them, and if they ever let you down, it's like devastation, right? You're like, oh no, what happened this year?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I was that house for a lot of years. I worked for this, actually this one time, I worked for this one company that had all of these, what would you call them? Kind of like Happy Meal stuff. So it was a big fulfillment company. Excuse me. But I besides the candy, they got toys.
Wow.
Oh, and then the year, and when you don't do it, they're like, oh, thank you.
Right.
Yeah. That was it. But so, when you think about candy, and let's think about that, because my kids were always wanted to hoard it. And speaking of hoarders, I mean, that's kind of it's the F word, so we got to talk about some financial things. But hoarding, likens to saving, but we want to do it in a good way. Oh, my kids, they would go through. They'd get back. They'd dump out all their candy, and they, what they don't like, we had to check everything too. Excuse me. And then they would put stuff, and it would be so funny. It'd be like a long time later, I'd find hidden. Because they were saving it, obviously. Yeah, you guys probably don't want to eat this now. It's like 2 years later.
Right.
Whatever. It's like I guarantee you it was not a Butterfinger or a Baby Ruth that they were hiding, because I found all those.
Right.
So people saving money, saving money for a rainy day, finding money in your pocket. Let's talk about that, Renee. I mean, you don't have to hoard things, but what are some of the best financial vehicles for getting yourself set up to put things aside so you can have?
Well, I think there's so many, right? And it really comes down to an individual basis. Like if you are not used to saving at all, and saving is new to you, and it's going to be a new discipline, it's a new habit you're forming, then you got to start small, because you try anything new and you go too big and too aggressive and you don't stick with it because it's too uncomfortable.
Right.
It's like trying to lose 20 pounds in 7 days, and you just try to starve your way into it. That's not going to last very long. So especially saving for a long-term goal, like retirement, takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Right? It's a dedicated, strategic plan that you got to be comfortable with. So I always tell people, find some comfortable denomination, whatever it is. Is it $10 a week? Is it $100 a week? Whatever it is that's comfortable, and just get in the habit of doing that, and then increase it as that becomes comfortable. Stretch yourself again. So if you're always stretching yourself a little bit at a time, it's easier to get in a disciplined, way to do that. But as far as where do you put the money, right? You can stick it under your mattress. You're going to get no return. You could take it to a local bank. You're going to get very, very little interest. So you have to figure out a way, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, where to put it to get the best return. What people are most accustomed to is just having it payroll deduct and go into like a 401k or 403b, 457, something like that, where you don't even see it. It comes out automatically before taxes. And that's a very easy way, because most of us, once it gets into our bank account, it becomes a little challenging to turn loose of it again.
Right. So
I like those payroll deducted plans, qualified plans we call them, to help somebody get in the habit of savings. But once you're in the habit of it, and so the challenge is not setting aside the money, the challenge is then, where do I get the best return? Then I would recommend different strategies. So I like 401ks, especially if a company's going to match that, take advantage of the match. But outside of that, there's a lot of different places you can put money. And so we sit down with people and we just say, let's talk about your situation and figure out how long are we going to keep working, how much do we need to save to reach our goals, and then figure out what vehicles to put the money in,
right,
to match the goals.
Right. So when we speak about vehicles, I mean, you know what? I've talked to so many people that are later on in life, and let's think about right now with what the market's doing. So Rene, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Rene is an excellent public speaker. Had a workshop tonight. You're talking about taxes, right?
Right. Tonight our focus was about taxes and retirement, and what the new tax code will and won't allow people with their retirement savings. It is different this year than it has been, and the new tax code is going to be in effect at least till 2024. So we're just trying to educate people on that. But, speaking of the market, I mean, the market has really been doing some crazy, wobbly things the last couple of weeks.
Wobbly. No, that's a good word.
Wobbly. Very wobbly.
Very wobbly.
And what that tells me is that when the market becomes a little wobbly, it's not going to be long before we wake up one morning and we're going to start a downward trend, and we're not going to bounce back at the end of the day like we've been seeing. Any movement in the market normally leads to some unsteadiness. So when I talk to people who are at or near retirement, so if you're 5 years out of retirement or you're already in retirement, you really have to begin thinking seriously about looking at your retirement assets differently, and looking at specifically your market assets, the money that you still have in the market. What are you going to do if we wake up and it's 2008 and 9 again? And that's a very real possibility. Hopefully the next correction won't go down that far, but we don't know that.
We don't know. Right.
We have no idea. So it really, this is what we tell people. Climbing Mount Everest, right? If you ever thought about climbing a mountain, Mount Everest sounds very interesting interesting to certain people, sounds very attainable to certain people. But what we know is you have to use different tools coming down the mountain than you use going up the mountain.
Right.
And if you think about your retirement like that, your accumulation stage, the stage of life that took 20 or 30 years to work and put money away, that is what we call the accumulation stage. For most people, when they get to be about age 60, that stage of life is almost over, and now we move into a new stage called preservation, where now we have to look at what we've accumulated and say we cannot afford to lose that money because we're not going to work long enough to recover. Because for most people, if there's a market correction, it takes about 7 years to recover. Well, if you're 5 years outside of retirement, time is against you.
There we go. Time is money.
Right? Time is money. So you can't afford to lose the money because you don't have the time to recover. So the closer you get to retirement, and even for those people who are already in retirement, it's even more of a challenge to really change your mindset and not use the same tools coming into retirement you used to get to retirement. Because the goal is not to get to retirement, it's to get through.
More people, here's a little fact, more people die on the way down from Mount Everest than going up.
Absolutely.
So they think just getting up there and hitting the peak, that's, woohoo, I did it. Well, guess what? Now you got to get back down, folks. So that's why you got to use some different tools. You got to have a Sherpa, somebody to guide you, like Rene, like James, Forecast Financial. So so you know the right vehicles to be using, the right tools to use. 2008, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, my life changed. I don't know about yours, but
drastically.
I was at a company that I was out speaking to advisors all over the country, and my position was eliminated because of the change. And so I was in financial services, and that did get impacted very heavily. And more people, one of the tools that you're using right now to accumulate your wealth, 401k, you need to look at it now. If you haven't, check it out. Get with somebody. It does, talk to somebody. Make sure you're keeping your money safe. I mean, if you're only 5 years away, you can't afford to wait that long to make it back, because, I mean, once it goes down, I mean, it's down. I mean, there's products, and I'm going to want to talk about this, but fixed, there's an F word, everybody. Fixed indexed annuities. Talk to me about that. Like, when do you recommend that? Can you explain, first of all, what it is?
Yes, I think fixed indexed annuities may be the greatest financial product on the planet. And I say that very confidently.
That's nice. I like to hear that.
I believe so strongly in them. And sometimes people hear the word annuity and they're like, they don't really understand what it is, or somebody somewhere along the way maybe had given them some wrong information or misinformation, or used an annuity in a wrong way. And so there's all this information out there that has to be cleared up when you talk about annuities. But a fixed indexed annuity, what makes it so powerful is that the money that you put into a fixed indexed annuity, you're doing several things by putting it simply in that vehicle versus like a 401k vehicle. You're eliminating risk, so you never have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and wonder, did my account just go negative?
Right, with the S&P go.
Right, it takes all of the risk out. You never go backwards inside of a fixed indexed annuity. You eliminate fees. You're not paying money manager anymore. That 2%, 3%, whatever it is that you're paying somebody to manage that asset for you. You eliminate risk, which are two of the three biggest threats to any portfolio. No matter what seminar we talk, presentation we're doing at our seminars, we always talk about the three thieves: taxes, fees, and risk. And so a fixed indexed annuity automatically takes two of those thieves out of your portfolio. You eliminate risk, you eliminate fees. And essentially, if you get a good fixed index annuity, not all annuities are created equal, right?
Right.
So you got to work with somebody who understands them and understands how to help you choose one that is best suited for your situation.
Mm-hmm.
But in theory, if you get a good one, you can expect to at least double, but most of the time more than double that money in about 10 years. Now, is 10 years a magic number? Is that what you always have to use for an annuity? No, absolutely not. But it's a general rule of thumb. If you think, if I put some money somewhere for 10 years, I'm going to eliminate tax or fees, I'm going to eliminate risk, and I'm going to double my money in 10 years. That combination for most people is a win-win-win situation. So I highly recommend fixed index annuities for at least some portion of your assets. So, how do you know how much? How do you know how much to put in financially? The specific, we call it the rule of 100. Number 100, and you minus out your age, and whatever's left, that's the portion of your assets that should be exposed to risk. So if I'm 60 years old,
okay,
I take that and minus it from 100. So now my number is 40. So that means of my portfolio, only 40% should be at risk. So 60% of my portfolio should be safe.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I have $1 million, $600,000 of that should be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And by safe, I mean don't wake up in the morning and worry about it. So that would be the portion that you would consider putting into a fixed index annuity. That's how you look at that, right? So you want to make sure that number, the closer you get, your number of risk exposure is less and less. Because again, we're not 20 years old with 40 years to work,
right.
So we can't take the risk at 60 that we could have taken at 20. So you invert the numbers as you grow older, you take less and less risk and preserve what you've already accumulated. And this is the thing, too, about money that's still in the market. This is what I always like to tell people. If you had a good market run, right, which the last 8 or 9 years, most people have gotten tremendous growth in the market.
Right, and they get a little bit too cocky.
A little bit too greedy, and so sometimes you have to say, okay, if my portfolio, if I grew from 100,000 and now I'm at, let's say, 147, okay, whatever the number is, should I consider taking that 47,000, moving it out of harm's way, keep my 100, and grow it again? So take your profits to safety and let your money grow again. That's a good strategy, but sometimes we get a little, it's like playing the slot machine one more time.
Right. I've done
one
it.
more time.
Done it.
And then eventually the numbers start going down and you think, well, if I keep going down, I might lose, but I might win. And so we pull that lever one more time, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same way with the stock market. You have to be disciplined to set your parameters and say, when I hit this number of growth, or if the market gets a little wobbly, I'm going to go ahead and take my growth out, move it to safety. My principle that I started with in there, if you want to do another market run, do another market run, but at least you're preserving money as you go along.
What do you think about like some, like there's different, I think a lot of people think like annuities means you lose control of your money.
Right.
So I think that's one of the fears, everybody, that I think people have that go along with it. Are there any measures people can take? I mean, you hear the word annuity, you think you have to annuitize. That means you're taking payments forever and
right.
Stop until you do, so you're no longer around. But can you tell everybody like about some of the different kinds of annuities? I know that there's income annuities, there's accumulation annuities. Do you also, Rene, in your practice, do you look at using different annuities for different monies, for example?
Absolutely, yes. And that is really key because it's like looking at a parking lot full of vehicles, right? There might be 20 models or 20 brands. Every brand has 4, 5, 6 models. Annuities are the same way. You have to use them for what they're designed to do, what their purpose was. So you would not want you wouldn't want an accumulation annuity if your goal is income. You need a steady stream of income. So that's where planning is critical. Because not all annuities are created equal. They're all designed to do something different. And when used properly, they're phenomenal. So you want to make sure that whoever you're talking with, whoever your planning partner is, understands what is the goal, right? So, and for some people, you might have multiple annuities. You might start them at different times, so they're maturing at different times. You might have one that's purely for accumulation, so it's growing stronger, versus one that might kick off some income at age 70 or whatever you need the income from it. So definitely they're designed to do different things. And we use them in multiples with a lot of our clients, and we'll say, okay, let's put maybe 200 in this accumulation strategy and 200,000 in this income strategy, because they're going to grow differently. And once you start taking income from them, then the growth changes, right? So if you want pure growth, you're going to use one that does not have an income rider. If you need a set income every month, then you might look at one that has an income rider. But when you truly annuitize an annuity, that is when you're saying, okay, for the rest of my life, however long that is, I know I wake up the first of every month and I get this check. And it's a guaranteed stream of income. That is a different process altogether, and there are some times for some people that makes sense, but not always. So we definitely have long, in-depth conversations with our clients about what are we trying to accomplish, right? Are going to keep your money safe, but not all of them will grow the same way or for the same length of time. But they're great vehicles for legacy planning as well. Right?
Okay.
So so let's talk about that. So let's imagine we've got enough income coming in for our full retirement between Social Security and other income buckets. We don't need this particular pot of money. So let's say we have $200,000 that we don't ever anticipate. We want to pass it on in legacy planning to a charity or to our grandchildren or whatever. Annuities with for several reasons. One, because this is how it's paid out. Is to have it paid out immediately as a lump sum upon your death or over a 5-year period, or you can have the person who's receiving the annuity continue to get the same income stream you were getting. So there's just a great flexibility in legacy planning with annuities that's different than any other type of account. So if you have money in a brokerage account, for instance, with a retail broker, and something happens to you, that money is going to pass directly to your heirs, lump sum, no questions asked. So not a lot of flexibility in that. But annuities give you a lot of control from beyond the grave. And for most of us, if we're truly leaving a legacy, we care. We want to make those decisions even after we're gone.
Right.
And so an annuity is a powerful way to be able to do that.
So in a lot of times too, I mean, there's a lot of women that outlive their husbands, and being able to set things up the right way, because I mean, just in the, you better have life insurance. I mean, everybody, I really pray that everybody that we talk to is looking at that also. But making sure that your spouse, whoever passes first is going to be okay.
Right.
And making sure, like their spousal continuation. I just, I know so many times, and the reason why I brought up the wife part of it, 70% of widows change their financial advisor very soon after their spouse dies, because they weren't part of the relationship. They weren't part of it. I think a lot of people think that, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, about women having to handle the money. I mean, so many women do have more control over the finances. But in a time like that, when it's a legacy kind of situation, just making sure that everything is set up correctly. I mean, you have beneficiaries. You need to make sure if you have a change in your life that you've got people set up. I mean, got that baby fever now. When I have some grandbabies eventually, I'm going to want to be able to make sure that I leave a legacy.
Exactly.
It is very important. I love that. I love that. Well, tell me a little bit more then, about the taxes and retirement that you were talking about in your workshop tonight.
Yeah, so it's interesting, the new tax code, right?
What does it do?
Well, what it did for most Americans is there's only one category of people who really are not going to see a tax break. The amount you make every year, those layers did not change. What changed was the percentage of your tax rate. So, and I'm not a tax professional, not a CPA, can't really give tax advice, but in layman's term, basically what it means is your tax bracket got reduced. So if you were at a 25%, maybe you're at a 22. If you were at a 22, maybe you're at 18. So your tax bracket went down, right? What the really, I think the most phenomenal change is it rewards people who are investors. The way you software we use help people determine how much money can you pull out of your 401k or any qualified plan and be more tax efficient with it than if we had not had this tax code change. So for instance, we all assume that if we've got money in our 401k, at some point we deferred those taxes, we're going to have to pay taxes at some point, right? So most of us say we'll pay it when we're 70 and a half and we're required to pull it out. And the government calculates that, right? That's why there are RMDs, because they know they can expect taxes at some point from all of these deferred accounts. But
never going to get away from it, ever.
Right, never ever. At some point we will pay taxes. But in this new tax code situation, based on provisional income and where the money is coming from and what, if you have Social Security, how that might be taxed, there's a way to sometimes be able to pull money out of qualified accounts and either pay no taxes on it or pay very, very low taxes on it. So it's a software that we use, take each person's situation and look at it, as holistically as we can and help them be more tax efficient. It all goes into planning. Everything about retirement is based on planning, right? Mm-hmm. And we walk our clients through a very extensive planning process. And I just want to touch on what you said earlier about life events make you look at things differently.
Right.
You have to have a relationship with your financial planner, financial broker, whoever it is that you trust to have these conversations with. You have to have such a strong relationship with that person that every time life stages change or life events happen, that you go back to the table and you say, what does this do for me now? What do I need to be thinking about differently now? And the fact that 70% of widows change their financial planner is sad to me, right? Because there's nothing more important in life. I mean, our whole economy is set up on money. And for somebody to handle a portfolio for maybe 20 or 30 years for the husband, and that husband passed away, and the wife not feel comfortable enough to continue that relationship, that's tragic. That was 20 to 30 years potentially of opportunity to build a relationship that never happened. And so now a wife finds herself in a lot of insecure situations, and the most insecurity comes from financial matters. So I would strongly suggest to every married woman listening, get in those conversations. Learn who has access to your money, who has input into your financial matters person now, so that you might potentially not need to make a change when something happens to your spouse, or if you do need to make a change now. Find somebody that you're both comfortable with and that you both trust. That is huge. Trust is so important when you're talking about money, and you need somebody on your team to speak truth into your life financially. but you don't ever want to turn over full control. Nobody should know more about your assets than you know. Now, I believe there's value in paying somebody else to handle your money for you, because most of us can't pay attention to it all day, every day. But we should know, we should be educated. And I find that when it comes to financial matters, it's one of those areas in life where it's not that the information is not available, it's that we don't avail ourselves of it. And we tend to know less about our finances than most any other area of our life, which is completely opposite of what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So I think that women especially have got to educate themselves more. Vehicles are out there, what they're used for, when to use them, and have a trusted truth when it comes to financial matters. Some of these conversations are not easy conversations to have, right? And we talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was on the show. Often women, because we're givers by nature, we will sacrifice our future needs based on somebody else's immediate wants. And so we don't save enough because we would rather say yes to our children now, yes to that vacation now, or yes to that new purse now.
Right.
And we will sacrifice our future security for today's needs or today's wants. So, yeah, I'm pretty passionate specifically with working with women who are widowed, divorced, or single, because I just think that so much of our security comes from financial stability.
Right.
And when it's all on you to produce it and protect it and grow it, what you're doing, you have to avail yourself of the education. So go to all the free seminars, go to the trainings, read the books, get educated so that you can make the best decisions for yourself.
Well, you know what? That's funny you should say that, because I am at a place, a big conference, Women in Insurance and Financial Services, here in Austin, and I'm looking at some of the different things here. I mean, you know what? As a single woman now, divorced woman, I'm looking at some of these different topics, and I'm really excited about it. But 7 insider tips to late stage college planning. Like you said, Renee, we're givers. We do this. It's like all of a sudden you have different things happen in life, and you don't know how to get things set up. I mean, so those are things that Renee and James, Forecast Financial Group, can help you with. I mean, you know, college planning through life insurance, for one thing. Having the conversations, being able to shift into retirement income, that's something else we're talking about here. Cultural change, bridging the gender divide. I'm just looking at, oh my gosh, they've got building an efficient core portfolio for all clients. God, I wish you were here.
I know, I'd love to be there. Sounds awesome.
You know, building trust. So, and this is for women in our industry. That's what I like, because guess what? Women sometimes feel more comfortable talking to other women, because I've worked with men, and I don't need to name names, because they know who they are. They're the men that like to talk down to women and make themselves feel superior to us. I was going to say it the other way around. Trying to make us feel inferior. We need to stop that. We need to take control. We have all the opportunity, all of the options out there to us and available to us. It's just getting in front of the right people.
Well, and you know what I think too, speaking about women in financial services, what I love is to see how this industry is changing. I mean, if you think back to 15, 20 years ago, there were very few women in financial services. Mm-hmm. And even now, we're still way in the minority of people in this profession. But I would encourage women to really take a look at this as an opportunity. So many women, if they're looking for a second career or maybe some additional income, they're drawn to direct sales or multi-level marketing because of the easy entry point, right? It's an easy way to start a business. Somebody else has already figured out the system. Somebody else has the entry point. The cost is low. And so women are drawn to that because it's something they can add on and grow as it fits around their family needs or their second job or whatever. Well, I would encourage women to take a look at financial services. It's also a low entry point, right? You learn, so you start maybe with life insurance. You get your license. It's $200. You take a test. You learn. You grow the business. Take on more and more parts of it as you go. For me personally, I would be in this industry for what I personally have been able to contribute to my family as far as education, if for no other reason. If I never made a penny, and I do make a really good living doing what I do, but if not, just to have the knowledge of how financial products work is so powerful. So for those women who are looking for maybe a career change or to add a second stream of income, I would definitely encourage take a look at financial services.
Completely. I mean, like you said, even if you don't, I mean, take a class. Go to these different events. There's women's expos. There's so many different things out there. But, damn, it's sorry about that. That just slipped out. I'm reading some of these things. And I'm like, it's available to us ladies. It's crazy. There's no reason not to fill your minds and your pockets, whatever it is that you need to do, because I mean, this is good. I mean, I haven't been to a good conference in a long time, and I'm excited about this one. But I think another thing too that we want to think about is what we set up for our children, and looking at future, because part of the, like the hoarding that I talked about with the candy. Getting things set aside for our kids earlier, I think, is something that women would be more inclined to do if they knew more about it.
Absolutely.
And what kind of, I mean, I've had women ask me about setting up an annuity for the child, and it's not the right vehicle yet.
Right.
Not at that young age. I mean, what if, if you're looking for something for college, if you're looking for something to help your children with their retirement later on in life as a legacy, how nice. I mean, think about that. All of a sudden, I'm gone, and I have grandkids because I didn't know them because my kids are taking too long. And like, oh my gosh. I'm willing to take somebody's 5-year-old child. I want one so bad. But, I mean, how impactful would that be later on as a grandparent to all of a sudden have a trust, have something set up for your grandchild that, I mean, and you don't even have to start with much.
No, it can be, that's what I was going to say, it can be such a small amount, but again, it's done on a consistent, disciplined way, $25 a month, $50 a month, but over time, it's, I remember when I was a child, my parents and my grandparents buying us savings bonds.
Yes.
For birthdays or Christmas or whatever. It's the same idea, it's just today the vehicle has changed. You can get a lot more bang for your buck using modern day products instead of the old fashioned savings bonds. Well, and they're still around. Right. But yeah, it's a very powerful way. And when we've done it for our son, right, just a small amount gets set aside every month for him inside an investment account wrapped inside of a life insurance product. And when he's 65 years old, it's crazy how much will already be in his account for him.
Oh my gosh.
And I would rather do that every month than, I mean, maybe it means you go to McDonald's twice less a month. Or you buy, $50 shoes instead of $200 athletic shoes.
Oh, no,
I mean,
what?
Right? It's crazy. I know. I saw a pair of shoes the other day he was looking at for $200. I'm like, I don't think so. Move along.
Yeah, right? And you're still growing.
Exactly. You're going to wear them for 3 months? No, I don't think so. Let's put that money away for college. But yeah, so it's so simple for grandparents and parents to set things up for their kids. And obviously the younger the better. $10, $20 when they're 3 and 4 versus, if they're already 15 or 16, you got to put in 70 or 80 or 90 to get the same return. So the sooner you get started on it, the better.
Exactly.
But it all comes down to planning. And we'd love the opportunity to just talk with people about where they are and what they need and figure out if they're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them. And if we could add any value to their life, we'd be happy to do it.
Now, Rene, are you able to work with people in other states? Because you're sitting in Raleigh, North Carolina. I mean, pretty much anywhere they can get a hold of you?
Pretty much anywhere in the continental United States. Yes,
Lovely.
We can work with clients.
And you know what? We're going to tell them again. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so 2 ways. You can go to our website, which is forecastfinancialgroup.com. You can call us at 800-678-2045. 800-678-2045 or forecastfinancialgroup.com. And I would love the opportunity just to have a conversation. Just real talk. Where are you? Real talk. Where are you? What do you need? And how we can help you.
For always. Because you know what, folks? The future is now. That's what you want to think about. I mean, if we are never promised another day or another minute even, but utilize what it is that you have in front of you, different educational pieces, but especially talk to somebody that, if you don't want to know, if you don't want to learn, get somebody that does know. But everybody, Austin, Texas is calling my name. I need to go listen to some music. So everybody have a wonderful night, and thank you for joining us again on the F Word. Talk to you next week. Good night. Thank you, Rene.